Well, I went outside today to draw, this morning, just a few minutes ago, to draw some birch trees in our courtyard. And when I draw anything for myself or a client, I often find myself wishing that I had started to do the drawing at a smaller scale, doing a smaller drawing than a larger one. And sometimes it just is the fact that I wanted to draw the subject faster and quicker and be done with it and go on to the next one. And other times it's, gee, I wish I had drawn this bigger because there's so much more detail I want to get. And other times I say, gee, this is really boring, and I'm trapped in the details and I'm missing the general idea that I want to get across. So what I did was I started with the largest one here and was drawing and thinking that I was drawing too many lines and I needed to draw fewer lines to convey what I wanted to convey. So I drew this one, same subject, and this one was more successful, I thought, than this one, just in conveying the birchiness of the tree. Now I could have filled this in, made this darker. That could have worked. But even this one seemed not the right size. I'm sort of Goldilocks. This is too big, this is not small enough, this is too this way, this is too that way. So I sort of ended up with this one, which I actually liked the most because I was able to show the variety of pen line I was making better with this scale. And then I drew them smaller still. Now the reason that I'm showing, and this is what I will show a client as an example of what I have to deal with in rendering whatever it is I'm rendering for them. If they wanted me to draw their house, let's say, and they were going to frame it, I can draw it this big, showing all of the details of their house, their curtains, their windows, their shingles on their roof. And if at the end of the day they're going to get a drawing that's 10 by 12 inches, I'll draw it big to fill up a 10 by 12 inch space. If they want their house drawn to be reproduced on a note card that's 4 by 5 inches, if I draw it like this and it's reduced down, some of these very fine lines are going to disappear. They're just going to not show up. So I might suggest to them, okay, well, I'm going to draw it more in this size that the drawing is going to end up being seen. So generally you can reduce half the size. You can scan it in and you can make sure all of the lines are there, and then you can maybe reduce it and have it printed at half the size of the original, and hopefully the thin lines will show up. But if this were to be reduced to be 2 by 3 inches on the top of a note card, or smaller, 1 inch tall by 1.5 inches wide or something, on the very top, engraved on the top of a small piece of stationery, then the drawing, all of these lines or many of these lines would disappear. So I might have to draw it more like this or more like that. And so by showing the client that I have to abbreviate what I'm drawing to fit the medium and the size that the final image how it will be finally seen, it's very important for me to show them that no, I can't do it this detailed. Now, if I was drawing their favorite birch tree, maybe they wouldn't care. But if I'm drawing their house and they want me to draw the detail of their doorknob, yes, I can draw the detail of the doorknob, but the drawing is going to have to be, 3 feet tall by 6 feet wide. Oh, that's too big. Yeah, of course it's too big. So, do we want the detail of your doorknob or not? Well, I guess we don't need that. So, it's this game of push and pull and, what you get and what you want that has to happen. So, a sample drawing like this would be handy. I'll probably end up doing a drawing of a building this way, so they know what they're going to get. One of the things also that I like when I'm drawing something for reproduction, and I'm drawing in pen and ink, I want people to see that it's pen and ink, not a grayscale drawing. Certainly if I drew this big and it was reduced to an inch tall, it might look like this drawing is done in pencil, because all of these lines would turn into sort of a grayscale thing, and it might look like pencil, and that's perfectly fine too. But if you want it to look like pen and ink, I like to make sure that when it's reduced in size to a small size, that the pen and ink earliness, the line quality, is still seen. So I may have to draw it like this big if it's going to be reduced half this size to be engraved. Another drawing I did is this one of a palm tree, and the bark parts were overlapped herringbone pattern going up. And I did the same thing. I could have drawn this more detailed, the larger one more detailed, but again, I was getting lost in the line work. I felt that I was missing the whole image by focusing on these little bits. So I scaled it down. This is about a quarter the size of that, and this is about half the size of that, and that's about half the size of this. And then this is sort of what the thing looks like. It's in a pot, and it goes up here and it spreads out to its fronds there, and there's other potted plants. And here the trunk has maybe 20 lines that make it up. Here there's 40 lines in just that leaf. So there's again the size that you originally draw it, the quality of the line that you want to see, the speed at which you want to draw it. All of this comes into play. For both of these drawings, I used this pen, and I filled it up with ink, and I discovered, and I knew this before, and I thought maybe I could live with it, but I can't. But when I draw with it, and now it's not gonna show, but I'll have to explain it to you. Every once in a while, the pen would skip, or it would what's called railroading. Railroading is when you come on, see, that's railroading right there. Finally, what happens is the ink flow is not strong enough to fill in the line, and the other possibility is it skips, and here it's not skipping, but outside it was. Maybe it was just because it was cold. And one of the problems with, it would be great if I could plan that out, if I could say, okay, I'm willing you to skip now, or I really want you to railroad now, because sometimes when you railroad, it comes up with really a nice effect. especially if you're doing calligraphy. You'll have, a line that, if I was writing something, it would look like this. Be thin, and then it would railroad, and you'd get this really nice quality. But it's hard to control. Maybe if I had one pen that did that, I could learn to. It has to do with the speed that you're writing, and if I could regulate the speed that I write, it would be a nice effect. But normally it's something you do not want to have happen. So this pen, especially when I was outside and it was kind of cold out, and that might have had something to do with it, this pen was railroading. And the reason that it's doing that is that the Wherever Pen Company, and a few other pen companies did this, but Wherever was known for it. They made plastic see-through feeds. So this is made of plastic, and you can see through it. And this is not as good a conductor of ink as ebonite, which is hard rubber. And it's just that simple. Plastic doesn't work, and hard rubber does. So for the pens that I'm going to create and put together for you, I'll make sure that you get a hard rubber feed. As nice as this might look, it's not as effective as a hard rubber feed, and I don't want things to skip on you. So that's the plan. That's my plan for you, to make sure that the flow is as good as it can get, and that the nib is as responsive as this one is. Here's where you see some examples of the railroading, and it's kind of neat when it happens, but it happens at times when you can't control it. And if you like the chance element in your drawings, then this might be the pen for you. Leave that feed in there, but most people like to not have it do that. They want to have it more consistent. So that's just one issue. If you have any pens that have a clear plastic feed, that might be a problem that you encounter, and to replace it with a feed that is hard rubber might be a solution. So just keep that in mind. Thank you.